Imagine stepping through the gates of Disneyland 25 years ago. California Adventure doesn't even exist. There are no smartphones in your pocket, and you could just show up and experience a Disneyland day.
You're listening to Castle Talk Radio. We're live on the airwaves with Becca and Jessica.
This episode is sponsored by AriasTransportation.com. They'll be waiting for you curbside at any Southern California airport, ready with car seats, strollers, snacks, and even a grocery store stop if needed. Arias Transportation will drop you off at your hotel near Disneyland. It's quick and easy to book. That's AriasTransportation.com.
Now let's jump into this week's episode.
In the late 90s, oh my gosh, I feel so old saying that. In early 2000s, Disneyland Resort was not early 2000s, just 2000. Disneyland Resort was just the original park, standing on the brink of a brand new era. Tomorrowland had rocket rods zipping through the old people mover track, and Fantasmic was still considered the newest nighttime spectacular. That's crazy.
It definitely was a simpler time. Fewer upgrades, fewer screens, and a different kind of Disney magic. Some things we loved, and some things are certainly better today than yesterday.
So today we're going to walk you through what a full day at Disneyland would have looked like around 1999 or 2000, from the attractions and entertainment to the food, the ticket prices. Oh my gosh, I can't wait to do that one. And all the little details that'll make you feel like you've stepped right back in time.
And we'll weave in some of our own millennial memories as we navigate through Disneyland 25 years ago. So picture it, Becca. It's the year 2000, your senior year of high school, and you're headed to Disneyland. So set the stage for what this actual trip of yours was all about.
Oh my gosh. It was a choir trip, and I believe the band came with us too. But we went to Disneyland and we performed, and there was no Imagination Campus at this time. That's not what this was. This was simply, they brought us our bus backstage to enter the parks, which was crazy, and took us to an area to get changed. We'd driven overnight to get there. So we were like not fresh at all, a bunch of non-fresh teenagers.
Funky fresh.
Yeah. We got ready. We went out, performed in New Orleans Square. So they didn't even have like that area because DCA wasn't there. So we performed in New Orleans Square. So that's my big claim to fame, is that I sang at Disneyland. I even happened to have a solo. So I was like, I got to sing at Disneyland and scat because it was jazz choir. I got to scat and do jazz in New Orleans Square. So,
Oh my gosh, that is perfect. I love that. And since you were coming in from out of town, I can't believe that you guys drove overnight. Do you remember where you stayed?
Absolutely do not. I don't.
Any vague memories at all? Like a good impression, a bad impression, or you just didn't care about hotels enough at that time?
Mediocre impression. I am thinking we had to have stayed at one of the Best Westerns or a hotel that has been totally redone at this point. But no, I have no recollection. We were driven by bus everywhere, so it was just no, I don't remember at all. Jessica, that was 25 years ago.
I know. So some of these memories will come a little easier to us and some may not. But yeah, I always get a giggle because sometimes in our Disneyland with Kids group, the co-owners, we pull up old memories, and Leslie from Trips with Tykes, is it like the Penny something, some hotel that she talks about that they used to stay at
Penny
all the
Saver.
time. Yeah. And it's not there anymore, but it's just really funny because also today's Leslie would never stay at that hotel, but at that time it was totally awesome and a great way to save a penny.
For sure. Okay, so Jessica, let's go to you. At the same time, you lived in Southern California. You're headed to Disneyland in 2000 or the late 90s. Tell me who you're going with and what you're up to since you're local.
Yeah, so Disneyland was a popular date spot for Southern California teens, and especially once we could drive. So I absolutely remember going in the late 90s on a group date, and there were six of us, and we were in a five-seater car. So this is so not something that I recommend. So there were four of us in the back seat, and the other gal laid across us. And I was like, I am not laying across anyone because I need a seatbelt. So I was not the tribute, but like she laid across us, and that's like so uncomfortable. For about an hour and a half of the drive down the five. Okay. And we were getting there around close to opening time because I remember it was like foggy in the morning and the fog always burns off. And I remember like getting up feeling it was super early to meet up at my friend's to drive over. I do not remember where we parked, but there's a good chance the parking lot was closed because parking used to be right in front of Disneyland where California Adventure stands today. And at that time, there was construction happening. So, and there was like a brief period of Disney history where the old parking lot was closed and Mickey and Friends hadn't quite opened yet. But I do remember that we walked up to buy tickets the morning of, just like everyone else.
Yeah, that's right. At that time, you would simply walk up and buy your tickets like when you got there. There were no theme park reservations, and many people could just hop in the car and decide that, hey, we're going to Disneyland that day. And Jessica, by the way, ticket prices, get ready to like have a like attack of some sort. I don't know. Ticket prices in 1999 and 2000 were right about $40.
Yeah, it's amazing. I actually found an old LA Times article from January 5th of 1999. And the title was Disney adds $1 to admission fees. That made the news in 99. $1. Now they'll add, so much to just like a soda in the park and it barely gets noticed by people that come. But I'm going to read you a couple lines from this LA Times article. It says, quote, despite 2 years of declining attendance, Disneyland has added $1 to the price of one-day admission. The theme park raised its adult admission price to $39. The fee for children is $29, and for senior citizens is $37.
There was a senior citizen ticket, and prices were less than $50. Take me back. I want to go back to the 90s. I'm like, oh my gosh, ticket prices have definitely changed. And at that time, you also had the paper tickets complete with hand stamps if you needed to leave and re-enter the parks.
Yes. And while you're getting over the sticker shock of the low prices from the 90s, I have to remind you that Getaway Today was, in fact, in operation in the 90s as well. They were selling discount Disneyland tickets just as they have been for more than 30 years. So, of course, I have to tell you, you can still get your discount tickets at getawaytoday.com/castletalk.
Oh my goodness. Yes, that's right. And up until digital tickets were introduced, which actually wasn't that long ago, Getaway Today mailed out those paper Disneyland tickets to your door. I've had those myself because going digital was actually only like, what, 6-7 years ago? Like not long before the closure.
Yeah, and that really does bring it back. I remember those Getaway Today envelopes in the mail with those perfectly fresh Disneyland tickets. Shoot. Okay, so it's late 1990s, early 2000, 25 years ago. We've got our tickets, and that's as far as we've gotten, so let's head into the park.
Yeah, and you could just do that. You could just head into the park, because one, there was no reservation system, but two, security screening was minimal to non-existent because guess what? 9/11 hadn't happened yet.
That's right. I remember it being a big deal. That Magic Mountain, which was right where I lived, it's a Six Flags theme park, that they had metal detectors, and people would say, like, oh, it's not safe to go there because they need metal detectors. But Disneyland was still safe because they didn't need them. But I don't know how I feel about that logic today, but security screening is definitely more robust in the parks now.
For sure. And just so you know, my honeymoon was October 2001. And so I went right after 9/11. And so I
So
got
close.
to see both both sides within a short time of each other. Okay, but now let's just go inside Disneyland and see what's new, what old favorites are around, and what ride are you headed to first, Jessica?
Okay, so back in that time, I usually went with friends, and I always have loved Fantasyland, but with friends as a teenager, we'd be too cool for that. So we definitely head to Space Mountain, Pirates of the Caribbean, or something like Haunted Mansion. I'm sure we hit those.
Yeah, so speaking of Space Mountain, Jessica, that was the first ride to test Fast Pass at Disneyland Park in the summer of 1999. And then Fast Pass was officially launched with It's a Small World Holiday on November 19th, 1999, which is so funny because then remember, Small World didn't have it forever when we've done this other, and then they brought it back again for a holiday version and then just kept it. So, anyways,
Okay.
that's kind of fun.
Yeah, so you would take your paper Disneyland ticket to a little kiosk near the ride. You'd insert your ticket, and then out would come a fast pass, which told you what time to be back at the ride to skip the standby line and go into the fast pass line.
Right. And they were free, but not all popular rides had them at first. In fact, I mean, you could argue not all popular rides have them today. But Indiana Jones opened in 1995, but I don't believe it got Fast Pass until early 2000s or 2000 or 2000s. But I have
Okay.
to tell you, I had a friend and she had just gone to Walt Disney World for a senior trip with her parents. And she was with us on that choir trip. And so she knew all about Fast Pass and had just been implemented in the parks. And so we felt really cool because none of the other kids that weren't hanging out in our group knew about it. And so we were like getting all these rides done. And they're like, how did you do so many rides? So it was really
That's
cool.
nice. I love it. It's all these little things that like we've seen along the way, and it's why we're the ones telling you about Disneyland now, because those little things like lock in our brain. Indiana Jones, like you mentioned, that's one that I distinctly remember waiting hours for in line, like at least 2 hours. And it was when they would fill the entire queue. So they weren't holding you at a point and then letting you walk through like they do now. You're back to back people, claustrophobic. It's just intense in there. But you could get those decoder cards and uncover the hidden messages while you waited, or you could be really obnoxious teenagers and, worry about if your friends are going to get you kicked out because you're so obnoxious. But our friend Chris at Park Pass on YouTube, he shares a walkthrough of the queue and decodes all of those messages for you if you're curious about what those say. But Becca, let's go back to you and your 2000 senior trip. What stands out to you as far as rides from that visit?
Definitely Splash Mountain. That was like the big thrill ride, water ride of the park. You know, it's Tiana's Bayou now, but back then it was Splash Mountain and it was still pretty new. But yeah, oh my gosh, that was a big one. The other one that's like, it's a fever dream, just like when we were talking about the limo ride over in
Mm-hmm.
DCA, is rocket rods. I remember riding rocket rods, and yeah, it was something like because you had to stop, like jerk to a stop because it couldn't handle the corners at the speed, and I just remember that. So yeah, those are the ones that really stand out as far as rides. Now, that ride, I have to mention Rocket Rods, it was only open from May of 1998 and then it closed in September of 2000. So like I graduated May of 2000. So I
Mhm.
barely got to ride it. It was gone by the time I went in
Mhm.
2001 for my honeymoon. So um those were the rides, but one thing I do remember, and I even remember this from the trips I took before I had kids, was Innoventions in Tomorrowland, and it opened in 1998 as
Mhm.
part of the new Tomorrowland, which we still think is very retro nowadays. But it featured these rotating exhibits because we know it rotates, right? And high tech things you might see in the future.
Okay. So, Interventions, that was hosted by the audio animatronic Tom Morrow, who was the mayor of Tomorrowland. And Interventions also featured the updated version of that Sherman Brothers song, There's a Great Big Beautiful Tomorrow. So that's from the original Carousel of Progress, which moved to Walt Disney World in the 1970s. But I would always mix up the two, thinking I had experienced Carousel of Progress as a kid, but it was actually Interventions because I was not alive during that time of Carousel of Progress at Disneyland. But give me back to Interventions. Let's remind people what that was all about and the high tech gadgets.
Okay. Yeah. So here are some of the high tech gadgets and things and inventions that showed up in the later two O's, 2000s, whatever you want to say. Was tech that could suggest a recipe based on what ingredients you had on hand, a mirror that let you virtually try different clothes, also let you try accessories and hairstyles. Without you didn't have to change. You just stood in front of it, and almost like a paper doll. It's putting different outfits in front of on you. Um, then get this one, Jessica. There was even a home office that allowed you to get this work from home.
Okay, so those things are pretty much all happening now. A recipe based on ingredients you have at home. Like you could take a picture with an app and it does
Mhm.
that. You could try on virtual clothes, hairstyles, all the things on your phone, and you can work from home on your phone too. Oh my gosh. That was in the Interventions Dream Home. And if you want more about that, yesterland.com has a great write up about all of those things. You can find that in the show notes. But before we leave Tomorrowland, I want to go see Captain EO.
Oh my gosh, that might have been possible back then if you were in the late 90s. Captain EO ran from September 1986 and ended April 1997. It did return in late 2009 or early 2010,
Mm.
but it wasn't running our senior year, that 1999 2000.
Okay, so for those of you who never got to see Captain EO, your nightmares will thank you because I swear I was so scared of that witch, the supreme leader in Captain EO. She was like spider-like with tentacles. This is a childhood memory, so that's what it was to me, and like scary makeup. So it was a sci-fi movie in 3D, and she was coming out to get you. Oh, it scared me.
Okay, but then Michael Jackson and his band, backup dancers, they all came in and sing and dance to break the curse, and then she becomes beautiful. So
Okay, I don't remember her being beautiful. I'll tell you that. Just look up the Google images of Captain EO, Supreme Leader, if you want to see how damaging this could be to like a little kid's imagination. But between runs of Captain EO, we also had Honey, I Shrunk the Audience in that same theater in Tomorrowland.
yes, that is what I remember. I remember Captain EO too from when they brought it back, but that Honey, I Shrunk the Audience, that's another great piece of Disneyland history right there. The spinoff of Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. It's a 40 show in Tomorrowland. There was a lot happening back then that was different from today, and that was one of them. I remember it like the dog drooling on you. Remember that part?
That is so funny. I mean, the 4D thing was very new. So it's like you had things coming out to you, but then you
Yes.
had like
Mhm.
water and things coming that make it that 4D experience. Speaking of other things around that time, Tarzan's Treehouse opened in 1999. And before that, it was Swiss
Right.
Family Robinson. And now it's taken on kind of both of those themes, and it's known as Adventureland Treehouse, inspired by Walt Disney's Swiss Family Robinson. And that's right next to Indiana Jones. So Adventureland was really bumping. What other rides and things were you doing in 2000, Becca?
Okay, so like I mentioned, Splash Mountain was it. And
Mhm.
especially if it was hot, you would do Splash Mountain and cool down. And then, believe it or not, back then they still had Country Bear Jamboree. So you'd go over and do that after Splash Mountain, and then you'd freeze in the air conditioning from it.
Splash Mountain as
But
well,
yeah.
with those obnoxious teenagers that we were at that time. So there was still a photo, and we didn't get our photo, and there was like a person, a cast member, at the photo booth, because you had to like buy physical photos as well, but they'd still show it on the screen. And so we went there and we're like, where's our photo, because it wasn't there. And they said, we're not showing it on the screen because you broke the rules. So don't think that I was doing some obscene gesture or anything that is triggering. But what we did, have I ever told you this story?
You little rule breaker.
We put our feet out of the logs, like rested it on the edge. And your feet need to stay on the ground. So it wasn't like bad, crazy. We weren't standing up or anything, but it's just so funny too, because like pictures get out and people post them online of people doing naughty things. So don't do that. But at that time, they had like a physical person there looking at all the photos. And I know they still do that to some extent, but we never did see that photo of our feet sticking out of the ride because we just chose the wrong thing that day. But I just thought of another thing
Okay.
that. Go ahead.
Okay. I don't remember a ton about the like spiels before the rides back then, but I'm pretty sure because we'd already had our little Aladdin moment where Genie says it, that they still said keep all arms, hands, feet, and legs inside the ride at all times, Jessica.
I'm sure they did. And I'm sure we thought we were so cool. So definitely a rule breaker at the time. But that's probably just stayed with me for so long. And anytime like I break a rule, I feel so guilty. One time I accidentally, well, not accidentally, I chose to, ran across a parade route, like during a time when you're not supposed to. But I was like, there's a gap, that's fine. And I got reprimanded. And that was a long time ago as well. So don't do the things. But thinking about that time, and I'm thinking about going with that same group of people, I do remember daydreaming of eating at Blue Bayou. So I always thought you had to have some kind of connection and lots of money to eat there. It was just a mystery.
Well, to be honest, that's still kind of true. Your connection is that you have to have a reservation, and you need to get those ones early, or you can set alerts with companies like Mouse Dining if you don't get the one you want, just so you guys know. And it is pretty pricey.
Yeah, Blue Bayou is definitely still the vibe for like ambiance and stuff like that. But it's hit and miss with the food. People like it or they don't, but I think it's something that you always want to do once, and especially as like a teenager and they're on a date, you're like, this is the epitome of romance. Like I need to be at Blue Bayou. I do know that we did not eat there and everything felt very expensive to us on that teen budget. I know that we ate at Galactic Grill, which is back in Tomorrowland. And at that time, it was actually called Tomorrowland Terrace. And it was just like a burgers and fries kind of place. So a lot like it is today, but of course, without mobile ordering.
Yeah. So this really got me like thinking. And I'm looking it up, what the cost of food was at Disneyland then. Um, so I'm trying to find, most of these are saying it's almost the same price as today, which I know it is not, because you used to be able to get Plaza Inn for $15 around that time,
Okay.
like for the big dinner. So now it's up to, I think, 25. like really close to 25. So, and the 15 is with tax, guys. So, oh my gosh. Speaking of going back to the ticket thing, 2005, a 5-day park hopper was $129, just so you know.
Don't tell me. Don't tell me. I can't even. Oh my goodness.
Yeah. So I can imagine, like, I really probably did feel expensive at that time as a teenager, but now we'd be like, oh my gosh, this is so cheap if we were there today and getting that
Exactly.
price. Okay, let's, so you had to stand in line for it. You thought it was expensive. There was no mobile ordering, obviously, but also there was no mobile ordering, but there was no app. There were no smartphones, like no wait times apps that you could look at. So even the third party ones that came out before the official Disney apps, those weren't around. So you knew the wait times only if you walked by the giant sign on Main Street, and it was at that time on the Jolly Holiday side. Or you had to walk up to the ride itself to see what the time was. Another thing, fewer photos. You weren't getting as many photos in the parks because you weren't snapping 100 of the same like spot on your phone, because you had only 24 photos on your camera that you could take on that piece of film or on your disposable camera before they were gone. So you hoped that no one was blinking or looking the wrong way or
Oh,
walks
seriously.
in front of you in the middle picture.
A day at Disneyland in 2000 and late 90s was slower, like slower lines, slower lifestyle, but definitely rich in nostalgia with fewer distractions. So, as you ended a typical day in Disneyland, would you make time to do night shows like Fantasmic or fireworks?
So this is a hard one because I don't remember if we got to do that when I went with the choir. We did watch Fantasmic when we went in 2001 on our honeymoon. So it's just always been a kind of maybe type thing for me. It depends on how we're feeling, what the schedule's like. So yeah, it was a possibility. I'd watch one or the other.
Yeah, I feel like I did not watch them, but again, it could be. I feel like we always tried to like be walking out to our car when fireworks were going on, just to like get out of there before it was too crazy. But I know we spent the whole day. I know we had a lot of fun, and we did not get kicked out. So that's a really good thing for teenagers. And I just want to say thank you for listening and traveling back in time with us. If you have memories from Disneyland back in 99 or 2000, we'd really love to hear them. You can message us on social media and share your stories with us. Maybe we'll share some in future episodes.
You've been listening to Castle Talk Radio. For exclusive discounts on tickets and hotels, free guides, and to listen to past episodes, visit castletalkradio.com.